jack-o'-lantern cracking. There we go. That's the vibe. All right, mute this. Beautiful souls, chosen ones. I'm going to give it a few minutes today to let people file in. Got my cucumber water because it is hot. Excessive heat warning where I live right now, even at 8 o'clock at night. Got my frozen mangoes to keep me cool. Okay. I'm really excited for tonight's live. We're going to open it, of course, with a bit of breath work, a little bit of sound bowl to set the vibrations, especially when we're speaking of such things as haunting and lost souls and disembodied souls. We're going to need that healing energy, that high vibration to set the tone. We're going to light our candles, burn a little bit of rosemary. Let me go ahead and do that now. And then we'll open with me just giving a breakdown of the difference between lost souls and disembodied souls. I'll share a few of my own ghost stories or experiences that are paranormal or unexplainable. And I'll open the chat, the floor for you to all share any experience that you feel comfortable sharing tonight. Ooh, it's burning. And then we'll probably even pull a little bit of tarot. So nice little treat tonight. Doing things differently, switching up the live, getting more comfortable since I'm still pretty new at going live here on YouTube. Shout out to all of my loyal subscribers who tend to show up in every reading, whether it's more of a lecture style or a tarot reading, or more like tonight where we get to be interactive with each other. Because when I'm doing the tarot, I've noticed that as much as I want to engage with the chat, I tend to be so in the flow state and already receiving so many messages. I might glance over, but I miss a lot of the live interaction with many of you. So if you're here and you're ready for it tonight, you're ready for us to talk about the paranormal, talk about lost souls versus disembodied souls, share a little bit of spooky, because it is now September 4th. We just had a new moon that occurred 2 days ago on Moon Day, Lundi, aka Monday. And 2 weeks from this Sunday, we'll be entering the autumnal or the autumn equinox, which is my favorite time of year because it is my Earth Day. It is that time of year for me where I came Earthside. And also, it just speaks very much to my interests and my spiritual gifts of tapping into divine channels, being able to see past the veil. And Halloween, All Hallows Eve, Samhain, depending on what you want to call it, is a time, especially with this autumn equinox, where the veil between worlds is the thinnest. This is when you will see an uptick in strange occurrences, much like on full moons. You see that there is a high influx of 911 calls, police emergency dispatch calls on full moons, yet they say we're not at all in relation with the moon. A woman's cycle is roughly 28 days. A moon cycle is roughly 29.5 days. So the truth is always hidden in plain sight. It's really a question of, are you moving from a place of intuition, from your own intuition, or are you letting someone force feed, spoon feed you your information? Thank you, Aminamini. I hope I said that correctly. Yes, I decorate quite early, and many people will say Halloween is a demonic, it's not a holiday, okay? But it is, like I said, a time when that veil between worlds is the thinnest, when you can receive the most downloads from your benevolent ancestors. And the powers that be, they know this. They use magic all of the time, just like using spelling in the English language. Your words cast spells. That's why they call it spelling. So the more you know. And thank you to Sunny in LA for being my awesome moderator in every live chat, almost every live chat. He's been here, keeping the vibes high, removing anyone who wants to say something out of left field, because us chosen ones, we tend to be going through spiritual warfare, spiritual attack, and you have monitoring spirits. And now this goes for anyone, no matter what content you share on the internet, you're going to receive backlash, trolls, negative comments, usually from those people who have no profile photo or they don't share any content themselves. So it's much easier to judge someone else for hopping on the camera, being brave enough to stand in their creativity, in their knowledge, and share the wisdom. It's much easier to point the finger and say something negative about that when you yourself have never put yourself on the camera to be judged or ridiculed. It also speaks very highly of people when they come onto videos and it doesn't resonate with them. It would be so simple just to exit that video because it wasn't for you. But instead, those are the type of low vibrational energies who will dislike the video, leave a negative comment. And if you understand and overstand spiritual warfare, you know most of them aren't real. They're AI, they're bots, CIA agents, or if they are real people, they're just still asleep. And you can't fault them from that. I have a fruit fly trying to come for my mangoes. All right, we have 6 people in the live chat. I'm letting people file in. Once again, for those who are just coming into the chat, we're going to be talking, we're going to first do a bit of sound healing because despite the ambiance in the background, tonight is very much going to be informative. We're going to talk lost souls versus disembodied souls, share some ghost stories, connect with our chosen soul tribe, and then pull a bit of tarot. So we're at 8 minutes, 8:08. Drop a 333 or an 888 in the chat and you're up for this topic. If you clicked on the thumbnail, there is surely something here for you. Oh, I'm losing pumpkins. You know, I love to put water in the bowl. So we're going to do that. Give me one moment. Create some space here. If you all can hear my necklace hitting this microphone, please don't be shy. Let me know in the comments. Try to adjust it. All right. If any of my loyal subscribers are here, let me know. Say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Even if you're watching this after the live, let me know. Are you from, what country are you tuning in from? Where is the rest of the collective at who was called into today's live? So I have a bit of water here. I'm going to sip my water because it's hot in here. All right. Let's first, before I play the bowl, I'm going to first tap into my bronze singing bowl. My mallet is trying to run away on me today. Please turn your volume down until you hear how loud the vibrations are going to be, and then adjust from there, okay? This first one is a Tibetan bronze singing bowl. I'm just going to tap this 4 times, calling in air, earth, water, and fire, all of the elements. This one is tiny but mighty. Okay, I love that singing bowl. It's my first bowl. And then my more, I wouldn't even say potent. They just comparing apples to oranges, right? I just heard someone say that recently, so it seemed perfect fit. The fruit flies, I don't even know where they just came from. They're coming from my mango. Okay, everyone, before I play this 432 hertz, note F, heart chakra frequency bowl, we're gonna first take 3 rounds of breath. Please be patient as we jump into the live. I'm just allowing more people to join. And much like good things in life, sometimes you have to wait for them. So if it's safe for you to do so, we're gonna close our eyes now. And we're going to take 3 rounds of breath together. This is going to allow us to connect our energies, especially for when I do tarot later in the live. And it's just going to allow us to all tap into a frequency, raising the collective vibration of the planet at the same time. I would love to do this on a more mass level. And as my channel grows, as you continue to file in, share the live, like the live, leave a comment, because as I always say, it's bigger than me. It's about us connecting with our fellow chosen tribe and reaching more of the collective. So without further ado, let's sit up nice and tall, relaxing our shoulders down away from the ears, and we're going to take 3 deep rounds of breath together. Breathing in through the nose, holding at the top, and sighing it out when you're ready. Taking another long inhale in through the nose. Taking another sip of air if you can. And letting it go. Beginning to relax any muscles in the face that you may not need, particularly that area just between your brows where your third eye chakra rests, unfurrowing your brow. And let's take one final round of breath together. Deep inhale through the nose. Taking another sip if you can. And letting it go. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and play the singing bowl. Let me make sure I shut this window in the back. I'll leave it open for now for a little bit of breeze, but if I keep hearing the fire department, I'm gonna have to close the window. Once again, if you're just joining, turn your volume down until you hear how the frequency comes through your speaker. beautiful collective, chosen tribe, star seeds, sovereign beings. If you're here in the chat and you were here for the playing of the singing bowl, please do let me know where you felt that frequency resonating in your body. So before we dive into any tarot, we are going to today, as I said, as the title states, before we share any ghost stories, before we get into the tarot, we're going to first dive into a little bit of informative teaching because the teacher in me just can't handle not to. And we're going to talk about the difference between lost souls and disembodied souls. So I have my notes here. You're going to see me peeking at them. But let's go ahead and dive right into it. And we're going to begin with your lost souls. So, a lost soul is a soul that never transitioned after their death. This is most often due to the confusion of the abrupt way in which they lost their lives. I'm realizing I'm blocking all of the background, so let me fix this for a moment. You felt it in your third eye, Sunny? Thank you for sharing in the chat. Wouldn't be right not to set the vibration. So once again, the lost soul is a soul that never transitioned after their death. This is most often due to the confusion of the abrupt way in which they ended their lives, or shall I say, in which they lost their lives. So lost souls usually haunt one area, confined to a perpetual loop at the scene of where they traumatically lost their life, sometimes in a very grisly manner. And so, for example, this could be a car crash, losing their lives on a train track. This could be this could be red rum, okay, backwards, etc. That type of trauma where something abruptly happened to this person that was traumatic, and therefore they are usually haunting just this one area where that scene took place. And these hauntings, though scary when experienced, most often these hauntings are more benign or good natured, okay, in nature. So these lost souls, they simply desire to be seen, to be remembered, to tell their story, and sometimes even solve their own cases in the situation of red rum. On the other hand, we have disembodied souls. The name says a lot. And these souls are usually more malevolent or negative in nature, even exhibiting physical aggression at times. These are your demonic possessions and exorcist type of experiences. And because these disembodied souls have no body, they're envious of those who do. And they are usually actively looking for one that they may be able to possess. So, because they are low vibrational in nature, they tend to feed off of your lower emotions. For example, anger, rage, sadness, terror, fear, lust, etc. And if you notice, many of those emotions, they're tied into our two lowest chakras, our root chakra, which is red, and our sacral chakra, which is orange. And you'll often see those colors, red and orange, in fast food logos because they're there to command your attention and to control you through your lower chakras. And now they serve their purpose. Fight or flight comes from the root chakra. There's nothing wrong with having the emotion of anger. It's all about how we can transmute it. So you never want to have just be consistently in one of your chakras or in your lower chakras. You want to be able to allow that energy to rise up to the higher frequency ones, like your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, your crown, and so on. So Back to the disembodied souls, most often you can expect them to be more physical in nature, these types of hauntings by disembodied souls. They don't long to be seen like lost souls do, but instead they would much rather be felt, or most importantly, to be in possession of a physical body once again. There may be a reason why they can no longer possess a physical body, and that's why they're actively seeking out someone else's. Um, so they don't usually want to be seen as much as your lost souls. Lost souls, you'll often see them, you know, ghostly figures crossing a train tracks where they may have passed. Or this is where you go to a hotel that's known to be haunted and a bride shows up in many of the photos. Those are you're more benign in nature. They want to be seen, they want to be remembered, they want to tell a story, and in rare cases, want to solve their own red rum. Whereas your disembodied souls, they don't so much long to be seen as much as they long to have a physical vessel again. It also takes them a lot of energy to show themselves. However, they will reveal themselves from time to time just to cause a night fright, aka an appetizer for them, because they're feeding off of your fear or your adrenochrome. Okay? You know, you know. Disembodied souls are more likely to push around your smaller animals, like your pets, your small dogs, your cats, or even non-living items such as dishes, remote controls, and other knickknacks. And they'll push them physically across the room because they can muster up enough energy to move a smaller being. Um, They also prefer to target young children and women, especially when they're alone, making them, the women and the children, easier targets, and thus revealing how low vibrational these disembodied souls really are, because they're targeting what we would consider the ones who should be the most protected, right? And these entities can even leave scratches on your body. And sometimes we perceive these scratches to be rashes, okay, or hives, and you can't figure out why it's happening. Now, I am not a medical doctor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Now, the whole reason I'm giving this synopsis before we get into ghost stories and tarot is because I think the most misunderstood thing about disembodied souls is that disembodied souls will not only haunt your home or your hotel room, but they'll do you one better. They'll follow you home from wherever you were, where they came in contact with you. And if that place was in fact in your home and you try to move, well, then they'll follow you wherever you move next. So it may take them a few weeks to garner enough energy to follow you and begin the perceived haunting again. These energies, truthfully, they become fixated on you, potentially even wanting to possess you or your family. These energies must be removed by a high ranking priest, priestess, or spiritual worker. If you know, you know. Welcome into the chat, Sebastos. Happy to see you here. We're just going through the difference between lost souls and disembodied souls. If you know, drop it in the chat. So these energies, these disembodied souls, they become fixated on you. And I think most people believe that haunting happens only when they stay somewhere haunted, as if it's limited to just their home or just one room. But, and that's true, that can happen when you're dealing with lost souls. But there's another common happening, and that is that something followed you home from somewhere you weren't supposed to be, with someone you weren't supposed to be with. This is why your intuition can save your life. Okay? If you have a story about how your intuition saved your life and you feel comfortable sharing it, tell us about it in the live chat. So even when this video goes or is uploaded after the live, people can share their own stories and interact. And your experience doesn't even have to be limited to paranormal. This can be a 3D experience where your intuition kicked in, you knew something wasn't right. Your fight or flight, that root chakra, when it's serving its purpose, fight or flight, tell you to get out of there, and it saved your life. If you've experienced something like that, leave it in the comments below. It doesn't just have to be paranormal. Actually, I will give, and just know too, whether it's a spiritual or a 3D experience or a paranormal experience, if your intuition is what was actively guiding you, both are a spiritual experience. Okay. And I will give you, before I hop into my own ghost stories, just in case anyone else feels as though they're not ready to share, I do see Sebastian shared his. So I will go ahead and read yours aloud, and I will start with my own. So, a time my intuition as a young child saved my life. This wasn't paranormal, but some could write it off to being paranormal. Thank you, Salem. Happy to have you as a new subscriber. So, as I was about 5 years old, and I, like many young girls, loved my baby dolls, and I took good care of them as if they were real. So there was a particular time my mom and I were at a garage sale, which now I know better not to go to garage sales, energy transfers, well, that's for another live. I picked up a car seat, an old car seat that I could put my baby doll in, and my mom would let me put the car seat in the back of her car. Now, when I was 5 years old, 5-year-olds didn't ride in car seats. We had seat belts like big kids. Now we know better, and usually you stay in a car seat much longer. But I wasn't in a car seat. I was safely in a seat belt. My baby was in the car seat, and I'm begging my mom. We were supposed to go to the bank or run some type of errand. And I'm begging my mom, can I please bring the car seat? I really want the car seat. And so I always ride on either behind my mom or far on the far right side so that when she's driving, she can see me from the back seat. Well, this particular day, I realized that the baby car seat I had for my baby doll could only hook in through the middle. It wasn't working through the right pull over your chest, probably because it was really old and it was something I was playing with. So I begged my mom, I'm sorry, I said that completely backwards. It couldn't be strapped in the middle. It could only be strapped in across where I usually sat. So for the first time, I'm begging my mom, let me ride in the middle so I can bring the car seat. My baby has to be strapped in. My baby has to be safe. I'm making a big deal about it to the point where I still remember it now. And I was a very shy kid, but I was serious this day. My mom, she acquiesced. She allowed me to strap my baby in the spot where I usually sit on the right side, and I rode in the middle. The reason my mom even gave me a hard time about it was because she knows that strapping over your waist isn't as safe as having it across your chest, or that was the belief then. So, all of that to say, my mom and I go to run the errand. We go to the bank. Just as we leave the bank, we get T-boned coming across an intersection. All I remember is the car spinning around a bunch of times until we stopped and we were up like on a hill or on some piece of grass. And my mom had whiplash. She had hit her head on the window. But other than that, we were okay. We actually, it was a hit and run. The person took off. We never found out who it was. We actually had to walk to a nearby house to call 911. And I still remember it because the lady who let us in her home, her kid was watching Lion King and they offered us lemonade. Times are so different now. Wow, even just telling this story is crazy. But all of that to say, my mom went to the hospital. She was getting hit on by a paramedic, which is hilarious to think back about now. The car itself was undrivable. And that baby car seat that I had sitting in the spot that I usually ride in was crushed. Crushed. The car was mangled on that side, which is why my mom driving hit her head against the opposite window. I was fine. Had I been sitting where I usually sat, I probably, if I was lucky enough to survive it, would not have been okay. So I would consider that a time, even in my tiny 5-year-old vessel, that my intuition saved my life. Because never before that had I ever tried to take the baby seat with us and actually strap it in the spot that I usually ride in. If that resonates with you, let me know in the chat. If you feel comfortable talking about a time where your intuition saved your life, let me know. And let's see, I'm going to go through the chat now. I see Sebastian said when you were small, you were laying on a couch and you called out the devil, thinking you were tough, and the door swung open. Yeah. The powers we have when we're tiny, when we're children, is so mighty. Much like how I said this singing bowl, even though it's smaller than my crystal one I played at the beginning, it's tiny but mighty. We're not yet completely programmed, conditioned into not believing that we have superpowers, into knowing for certain that these malevolent entities are not real. And so when we call upon them, they'll show up for a child. That's wild, Sebastos. Thanks for sharing. You said you had to keep yelling, get out, and that he's not welcome here. Yes, that is the right thing to do. Whenever I feel the energy is off, I haven't been malevolently haunted in a long time. And I think that's because I myself raised my vibration. Okay, because when you're out drinking and partying and doing other things that most 21, 22 year olds tend to do, you're engaging in low vibrational behavior, and these entities follow you home, and you tend to have more of these paranormal experiences that are negative. Okay, but you said you kept yelling out that they're not welcome here. The door started closing on slowly, and I kept yelling it to leave. Yes, it swung open one more time. I had to do the same thing. You did the right thing. I'm always, if I feel a weird energy around me, even after tarot, I'm very protective of my energy. I have my evil eye here. What you all don't see on camera after I close my readings is the same way I'm knocking on the deck and speaking. I close that energy out. I always say goodbye, and I say it 3 times, because you never know what might enter in. And that goes for anyone. People would like to blame tarot. I never would blame tarot for negative things happening. It's more so about the person who's doing the tarot. What are they engaging in activity wise? Who are they surrounding, letting in their home? Those are going to be your experiences where you come on the internet and you say, I don't read tarot anymore. The occult is so awful, when really it's a spiritual practice. So if you're not spiritually enlightened and you pick up a tarot deck, oh, sweet honey baby, I can't even tell you the scary stuff that could probably come through the channel, because you don't know how to, you're tuning into everything, and you're not properly closing the door, you're not protecting yourself. And I truly think that that is why people have who come on and have a bad experience and talk about it. Now, this is not to say bad things don't happen to good people, because they do. Let's see, we have another story. Hi, 3 Victorious. 3 in every way. I like it. You have all those 3s in your name. Drop a 333 if you're here in the chat, you like the thumbnail, and you're like, hey, paranormal, let's talk about it. You said another time you and your buddy were driving home late and you saw the devil in the clouds very clearly, like a movie. It was a scary, ugly face with crazy sharp teeth, bald head, and like empty, cloudy eyes. I'm still in the same house, unfortunately. Wow. Isn't it amazing the ties you can have to a home when you've been there since you were a small child? You can remember, I still dream of my childhood home when I astral travel, when I have out of body experiences, and sometimes even when I have end of the world prophetic dreams. They start off taking place in my childhood home. So, no such thing as coincidence. I think this is because they say your first 7 years are your most formative years as a child. So this is when they're trying to condition you the most through, cartoons, movies, etc. And these are when you're so malleable, you're like a sponge. And so you're just leaking all this good energy over that place as you're maturing, if you will, energetically or spiritually. I used to have a lot more I used to have a lot of sleep paralysis as a child, where I would fall asleep in the middle of the day, have a terror, like a daytime terror, and hear my parents come to the door to check on me, and I'd be screaming to wake me up, but they didn't hear me. And then when I would actually wake up, I would be upset with them. Why didn't you wake me up? I heard you at my doorstep. I was looking at you. I didn't have the words then, but I was having an out of body experience, because although my physical eyes were closed, my third eye was wide open. Yep, burning some sage, praying in the living room. Prayer is the ultimate, okay? Prayer. every day, making life, your moving prayer, your meditation, everything you do. A lot of times we think prayer is, and this is just my personal opinion because it's my channel. I'm going to light a bit of sage now, Sebastios, just to keep our energy protected. I'll light the candles before I go into the tarot. But totally lost my train of thought. Burning this sage. I totally lost my train of thought. Out of body experiences, astral traveling. Someone remind me. Someone remind me what I was saying, if you can remember. When the ADD is coming through. I'm enjoying this though, interacting in the chat tonight, doing things a little bit differently. Yes, third eye being wide open. Third eye being wide open. I'm trying to think. So maybe that thought will come back. It'll come back when it's meant to. But in the meantime, I'm going to dive into more adult stories of haunting experiences that were absolutely terrifying. Okay. So we're going to roll it back. We're going to throw it back to when I was in college. And I was staying the night over my boyfriend's. And we were sleeping in the same bed. I know, naughty, just wild college student. And I was laying with my back facing him. And as I closed my eyes, laying there in the dark, I just started to have weird thoughts. We all have our mind wandering, especially at night before we go to sleep. But on this particular night, I had a very strange vision. I saw what was kind of like some demonic type woman, almost with like hollow eyes, long black hair, and it felt as though her energy was hovering just over my head. And no matter how much I tried to shift my thoughts, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was, whatever I was seeing in my mind's eye was actually physically there in the room. So as I'm laying there thinking about this spooky face that things only nightmares are made of, my boyfriend reaches over and touches me right in that spot on the back of my head. We both jumped, which was odd. I knew why I was scared. Excuse me, I hit the microphone. I knew why I was scared, but why he jumped, I didn't know. And I was so terrified at that moment, I just kind of let it go. For about 2 minutes, we were just silent. And then eventually I mustered up the courage and I asked him, I said, "Why did you reach over and touch my hair right then?" And he goes, "This is going to sound really odd, but the way your hair was laying on the pillow, it looked like an evil face was looking at me." Y'all, that will always and forever be one of the spookiest ones. And that was towards the beginning of my haunting journey from college. And then it followed me to my first duplex, my first brand new loft. And after that, I was able to get rid of the energy. But when he confirmed what I had been seeing in my mind's eye, that's when I knew I wasn't imagining this. Because these are things you think, but you don't say out loud because it's so easy to bash someone and call them insane. And yes, like you said, a sign of spiritual awakening. No such thing as coincidence, Sebastos, because at that time I had just been watching Zeitgeist. I had just learned what the Illuminati was. This is like, no, I'm not going to say the year because I'm not trying to give away my age just yet. I think I have in another video, but I'm not going to do it all the time. So let's just say it was well over a decade ago. And I had seen the Zeitgeist. If you've seen that movie, let me know in the chat if you've seen the Zeitgeist movie. That one, when it talked about religion, taxation being theft, and 9/11, I was like, I've been lied to my whole life. Who am I? Existential crisis. And here I am in college, acquiring all of this debt to go to law school, apply to law school, become an attorney, which I ended up not doing. And truthfully, I'm happy. Although I do have a gift of debate and a love for justice, I'm the scales, I'm a Libra. I wouldn't have been ready for it at 21 because I was done with college at 21. I would have went to law school at 21. I wasn't ready for it. And I needed to go through the spiritual awakening first before. Law school will always be there. It's 3 years long. It will be there waiting for me if I do, in fact, decide to go one day when I can afford to pay for it out of pocket. I'm not going $500,000 in debt to become an attorney. That's just that. Now, I will say that was a really good point, that it probably was the spiritual awakening. Because once you begin to awaken, that's when those monitoring spirits, those demonic spirits, they vessel hop and they begin to monitor you. Uh-oh, she's awakening. Oftentimes, I'm curious to anyone in the chat, if you agree with me, let me know if sometimes it may, because we're not taught about ourselves, because so much of our history, our ancestry is hidden from us, and our true nature, our true powers and connection with Mother Gaia and the earth, because our gifts are hidden from us, and because most people tend to believe astrology is woo woo, when you come into this world, you may not know you're special. Your parents will think you're special because you're theirs. But the powers that be, whoever they may be, the 13 bloodlines, the reptilians, whoever you want them to be, that's up for you to debate. But they can be aware of your light entering this earth side. And they know this is your 500th time here on earth. And they're like, uh-oh, this is the time she or he is going to fulfill their mission. So they watch you closely. As long as you're following the beaten path, not the pathless woods, but the beaten path, and you're staying on and you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're not so much of a threat. Okay, you want to do the cookie cutter, go to school, get the job, get the house, the white picket fence, the marriage, the kids. Okay, and not that anything is wrong with any of those things, but the more things you acquire, the more you identify with those things. The more you are controlled by your environment, because now you have a mortgage, a car note, insurance, this, that, and the other. And it just becomes increasingly harder to exit the life that you created for yourself. Most of the time, when you were 17 or 20 years old, and now you're 45, and you're just like, why did I do that again? Because I'm ever changing, ever growing, ever evolving. So, all of that to say, these monitoring spirits, they know your gifts. They know your superpowers. They knew it since you came earthside. And so they'll come on channels, even like this. You don't have to be a large influencer. You just have to have a large heart. You have to have that gift, okay, that they see that you have, and they just want to keep beating it out of you to make sure you don't fulfill your mission and your destiny in this lifetime. Let's see, I'm going to check the chat, so give me a moment. And I'm also going to eat one of my now not so frozen mangoes because it is hot in here, y'all. You said would I believe it if you told me that the Illuminati tried to sacrifice you, but your intuition saved you? I would believe you. I believe you. It's our, excuse me for eating on the chat. It is our duty as awakened ones, as enlightened beings, as chosen ones, as sovereign beings, as star seeds, whatever you want to refer to yourself as. The point when I say chosen, let me make this very clear. When I say chosen one, I don't mean you're the only one, but you're one of the few and not one of the many. Marinate on that, okay? And what we need to do as chosen ones, as star seeds, is when we see our fellow light workers coming on platforms, sharing their story, whether it be in the comments, whether it be on camera, protect those chosen ones. Believe them when they say something. Believe them until proven otherwise, because most of the time we'll believe these people, these politicians, kissing babies and shit, excuse my language, that we've never met, that don't know our names, that they have no stake in us aside from us not awakening. And we'll believe them. We'll believe whatever the news pumps out. But you won't believe someone in your own family, a childhood friend. So it's almost upon us. Of course, use your own intuition. Use your own intuition to filter whether or not what someone's saying is truth. I believe you because I do believe in monitoring spirits. And if you're here in the chat, be sure to like it. Hit the share button so that it can reach more people. We can connect with our chosen tribe here, especially for those who feel alone, who know, it might be cool to hop on and watch someone talk about these things, but the thought of you actually doing that yourself is terrifying. You're like, oh my gosh, what if my family saw? What if my job saw? I could lose things because 3D, that's where they trap you. They imprison the mind, and then they imprison you by having so many material things that you can't free yourself without losing the things that you think are most important, even though they're not, because you can't take them with you. And once you start to ascend into that fourth and fifth dimension, well, then you realize, well, things are simply that. They're just things. They may make you feel nice when you first get them, but they will never replace your inner prowess. They will never replace the love that comes from within yourself. No one outside of you can do that. Not a spouse, not a best friend, not a parent. They may love you the most out of everyone else, but no one should love you more than you. That's not cocky. That's called self-love. If your cup isn't full, as I always say, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Let me continue reading your story. You were getting informed of an assassination attempt on several dates, and it came true on 7/13. And mind you, 7/13, the 3 plus the 1 is the 4, plus the 7 is the 11. Many times when the 11 is involved, it's a false flag. And even if you add the, so we have the 11 plus we have 2024, which is the 8. So that will put us at 19, which would be the 1. Whenever you see 111, 1111, 911, these are usually dates where false flags are taking place. Whether they're actually happening or not is for you to discern for yourself. But usually this is when you see wars break out, genocide, school, pum, like what's happening today. I haven't even looked at it because I'm just like, I can't feed into that low vibration right now. I just can't. Now let me continue reading. This is quite the story. So we're reading Sebastian's story right now. And the fact that you're even sharing this in a live chat, kudos to you, Sebastian. Really appreciate this. Yeah, Zeitgeist is a throwback, Sonny. So you were getting messages on YouTube to inform of an assassination attempt. It happened on 7/13. You went to the FBI to inform them, but they didn't want to see you. I bet. So you started driving around and noticed that you were getting gang stalked and they were controlling the lights. You were driving, running red lights, trying to find a cop and inform them, and you found one. But it was my luck, it was one of them. And before I knew it, there's all kinds of crooked cops around me, so I was scared because no one knew where I was. They would have got me. So with a cell phone, I called 911. There it is again. And told them I needed to check on me because I wasn't safe. And the cops in front of me all got mad. They got mad and started asking other cops what happened. How did I get through to dispatch? Then before I knew it, they all surrounded me and threw me in the ambulance and tried to strap me down. I was fighting and praying for Archangel Michael to save me. Life path 11, exactly. Life path master number 11. You're battling with the ego and battling in partnership because the 11 is double ego, but at the same time, just the 1 is ego. So when you have the 2, if you were to break that master number down, it's the 2 where you need partnership, but it's often associated with trials and tribulations. Life path 11. I think they tried. Oh, wow. I nodded away for like a quick 3 seconds. The Lord woke me back up and I told him, guess what? It ain't gonna work. They tried to suffocate me with this fake cap. I didn't want to take it off. Like almost suffocated. Well, I'm happy that you're here to share this story. I think too often we demonize and we call people crazy when we weren't there. It's so easy to say, due to our conditioning, our programming, that something didn't happen. But if I wasn't there, who am I to say that didn't happen? You know what happened. And stranger things, the truth is often stranger than fiction. I was just watching an old clip today of something that happened in LA here where I live. And I believe her name was Anne Hirsch. If you guys remember, this happened a few years ago. I'm going to look it up. Was that her name? Anne Hirsch? If you know in the chat, the woman who was seen speeding, I think, in her Tesla until she crashed into a house. If you know the name, let me know. But there's a video. Once we get the name in the chat, you can look it up for yourself. She was seen speeding by on Ring cameras, crashes into a house, and then as the live news is reporting, out here where I live, they have her now in a body bag saying that she's deceased. And just as they're putting her into the ambulance, the back of the ambulance, She unzips the bag and sits up and reaches. This is on camera. This is on local news. This is not conspiracy. This is fact. It's still on YouTube if you look for it. So if anyone knows the name in the chat, I know her first name was Anne, and I want to say it was Hirsch. Can't think of the last name. Anne Hedge. Thank you. Exactly. Anne Hedge. I was just rewatching that today, and I'm like, the truth is often stranger than fiction. It's so easy. So many of these celebrities die through ODs, right? Or the big S. And yes, depression and mental health is very real. But what are the odds that all of these beloved stars are all going in the same way? And what are the odds that many of them are getting ready to release informative documentaries, or they're in a lawsuit to sue a big company or release pertinent information that would take larger corporations down? No such thing as coincidence. So it's so easy for us to just believe, oh, another star just couldn't take the pressure anymore. When really we should believe these people. That Anne Hedge, who knows what was happening to her? She probably was DRUGGED, but not on her own accord. She could have been locked up in someone's basement being fed something because she knew and saw something she wasn't supposed to see, and they wanted to make sure by any means necessary that her story didn't get out. And that's why you see her unzipping her own body bag. Why are you putting a woman who's still alive in a body bag? That is absolutely insane. I don't know what she knew. I'm not claiming to know, but she knew something. And that's obvious. That's why you need to move out of intuition. Okay, it is Hesh. Okay, and Hesh. Thank you for clarifying that, Sebastian. That was wild. I was reminded of that, and I'm like, yep, that's exactly what's happening. So I'm going to share a little bit more of the ghost stories, and then I'll pull a couple tarot cards to close out the live in a few. But for now, let's continue on. I'm enjoying engaging in the chat. If you're here, I see there's quite a few people in the chat. Leave a like. If you don't feel comfortable sharing, share the video with someone. Click the like button so it can reach more people. And if you do feel comfortable, remember, these stories don't just have to be paranormal. They don't have to be otherworldly. This can be a time that your intuition saved your life. 3D, being in the wrong place, leaving the wrong place at the right time. That type of situation where you just read the room and you knew something bad was going to happen, so you skedaddled, okay? It can be that as well. It doesn't just have to be ghost. But I'm going to get back to my ghost story. So after those college experiences, which got increasingly more intense, over the next year or so, to the point where even the apartment building I lived in, just after I moved out, it burnt down to the ground the year after I graduated. Like the same year, but that following fall. And I had people sending me videos like, your building totally burnt to the ground. I'm like, just glad I wasn't in it. Okay. But so the first place I moved when I came home from college was into this duplex, and I had the upstairs. It had its own private entrance. And although I was in a relationship at the time, my partner at the time, he had gone off to work for several weeks out of state. And so when I first moved in and he was there, it was totally normal. Not too many strange occurrences outside of what I had already been experiencing. But the minute he packed up that bag and he left me there, oh my goodness, because it's a 2 bedroom, I began seeing things. It got to the point where I truthfully thought maybe only I was seeing what I was seeing, because it would only happen when I was by myself. And then at one night, I had a friend over, and this is a male friend. We had actually went to high school and college together. And you know, males, you tend to be more skeptical when it comes to otherworldly, paranormal, intuition, emotional things. So one night, as we're watching TV, how the duplex is set up is every room conjoins with the other. So you can do like a full circle: kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, living room, other bedrooms behind. And as we're watching TV, he like jumps back and he's like, holy shit, did you just see that? And I was like, what? Because I saw it, but I'm so used to seeing it. You tell me what you saw. So he's like, a ghost just walked clean past your bedroom door, because how my living room was set up, the TV's against the wall, my bedroom door connects to the living room. And I was like, literally, I got teary eyed because I was like, you see it too? Like, I'm not crazy. He was like, hell yeah, I saw that. What's going on? And I was like, I've been seeing it too. Like, the fact that you see this is wild. So it became this joke. Like, I'm 22 at the time. So like I remember having a beer with foam on the top, and like it came into the head of the beer shaped into a ghost. I remember sharing it to Instagram back when I had social media. And that same friend commented like, the irony. Like, exactly, the irony. These ghosts are following me everywhere. So fast forward a couple months into that summer, my partner still wasn't home. I still was living alone, but my friend was back over, although I had shifted the feng shui of my duplex, of my home. Now the TV was facing another way. I had also taken in a black cat by the name of Lucy. I didn't go seeking her, as I often don't when it comes to these cats. They came seeking me. It was my grandfather's cat, and I agreed to take him in while he went down to Florida for in the fall time. It had to have been summer. He must have just been going to Florida. Grandpa always travels. Usually he went in the fall for the winter months because it was cold where I used to live. But anyhow, the room is now switched around. The same friend is there. The cat is sleeping on the ottoman right next to the TV. She gets yeeted, pushed clean off the ottoman. You know how cats sleep completely curled up, nestled, tail tucked around them? She was snug as a bug in a rug until she got pushed into oblivion. She got pushed off the ottoman, but much like cats do with their 9 lives, she landed right on all her feet. And she looked back with all the hair standing up on her neck, her back to her tail, like, who the F just pushed me? And my friend and I looked at each other and I was like, now this is serious. Like, it just moved something not so small. That's when I was starting to get scared. One of my girlfriends was getting ready to come over before a night out, and he was like, do you want me to stay here until your friend gets here? I was like trying to be brave. So I was like, no, it's okay. You can go. She'll be here in like 30 minutes. Soon as he leaves, I'm in my room getting ready. The old window I have just dropped shut. Boom. I was out of there. You don't have to tell me more than twice. I took off down the stairs. I sat on the porch for the next 45 minutes until she showed up to the house because I was like, that's it. Now, it just so happens my cousin was looking for a place to stay, my male cousin, and I had a spare bedroom. So I offered him to move in. Once he moved in, all of that stopped. So, what was me being haunted specifically at nighttime, even to where I would lose all service. My phone would read E whenever it would be after like midnight, especially when I'd be scared and I'd go to call my partner, like, I'm creeped out in here. My phone calls would just drop. It was like as though they were blocking me from that feeling of safety, feeding off of, like disembodied souls tend to do, feeding off my fear, my adrenochrome, my lower energy. Now, like I said, once my male cousin moved in, those occurrences reduced significantly. However, I then moved into a brand new loft. I love this loft. I had found it online. They were still, even though it was an old Sears building, it was being rebuilt and brand new from the inside out, like marble countertops, tall ceilings, beautiful windows. I went to look at it and I was like, this is my next home. I'm living here. And when I looked at it, when my partner and I was like, this is perfect. At the time, it wasn't even done. So we did an application. We were approved before it was even finished being built. Once I did move in, I loved that place. Still to this day, despite the hauntings there, it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever lived. However, of course, as I explained, disembodied souls do, it took several weeks, but eventually that entity caught up and followed me to the next place. This is where the most out of this world things were happening. And once again, I was living with my partner this time, so they would only happen when he would leave, even if it was just for him to run quickly to the store. Okay. One night, for example, we had a song playing on a phone and it was playing through our big screen TV. It was one of those old school big screen TVs that actually have like wheels, and it's literally like as big as my entertainment center in the background. And he was going to run down because our loft was connected to a gym as well as a grocery store, a market. So he's like, I'm just going to run down to the market real quick. I'm like, cool, see you in a minute. So I walk away from where the music had been playing and I go down the hallway into the bathroom. I don't know if I'm fixing my hair, washing my hands, but out of nowhere, I hear this low, demonic voice. And I'm like, what the F is that? At this point, I've been being haunted for 2 years. So I was like, I'm scared, but I'm also like, I need to know. So I slowly creep down the hallway, back out to where he had just left. I peek around the corner at the TV. That same song from our playlist that we had recycled multiple times was now playing chopped and screwed. And if you don't know what that is, that's when you take a regular song and you slow it down so much so that it sounds like, ooh, like someone's moving through a low dimension. I went to take off out of the front door because that's usually my fight or flight. I was like, there's nothing to fight. I can't see it. So I'm taking off till he comes back. But then I told myself, if you don't record this, no one's going to believe you. So I stood my ground, grabbed my phone, and I stood there and I recorded it playing Chopped and Screwed. After that, that song went back to playing normal. I think it might have done that one other time. But if you know streaming, that should not even be possible. But I had it on camera, played it for my mom, and at one point they were like, you need to go to church. And I was just like, this entity is really trying to get to me. Like, how do I get rid of it? And it got to the point where I literally reached out to paranormal investigators. I was like, come to my spot. You're not gonna be disappointed. You're gonna get some activity. But they were so backed up in the area where I lived. No surprise there. Now I'm more conscious, so I know why these things were happening. I know about the area, all of that. But at the time, I was just frightened. Last story, and then I'll check back in with the chat and I'll pull some tarot to close out this live. Last story is also in that loft. I have so many stories I could go on for days, but I'll leave it at that today. In that loft, although it had these beautiful windows that stretched through the living room into the island countertop that meets the kitchen, the bedroom had no windows. When you shut the bedroom door, it was pitch black. And so that's usually how I slept. One night, I wake up from my sleep just to turn over. You know, you do the groggy turn and stretch. You're not really like going to the bathroom or getting a drink of water, but you're awake. And as I turn over, I see what looks like headlights passing by the wall, and there's this tiny shadow figure. I've heard people refer to him now as the Hat Man. Not tall with a hat, but this was short, almost like a leprechaun. I saw that and I noticed it, but I'm just in my sleepy mind. I'm like, oh, someone just drove by and left a really weird shadow. It wasn't until I turned over and closed my eyes, I thought about it. I'm like, you have no windows in this bedroom. There should be no shadows, period. Light can't come through here. And then I became so terrified that I literally put the covers over my head and just laid there until I fell back asleep. And I didn't tell anyone about it until days later. And I really only told one or two people. So these hauntings definitely happen. And just to recap, your lost souls are different from your disembodied souls. Your lost soul is a soul that never transitioned after their death, most often due to the confusion of the abrupt way in which they lost their life. Car crash, train tracks, red rum, that type of scenario. These entities, they're more benevolent in nature. They may scare you when they appear, but they're not going to be aggressive. They're not trying to possess your body. They're not going to push things across the room. They simply want to be seen. And most of them just want to be remembered. They want to be able to tell their story, maybe even solve their own red rum. And these are when you see people of entities or orbs appearing in photos, and they're usually confined to the one area where they lost their life. They're usually in a perpetual loop, maybe crossing the train tracks where they lost their life or haunting the intersection where they had a car crash, that type of situation. Still scary, but benevolent in nature. They just did not, due to the traumatic and abrupt way in which they lost their life, they weren't able to transition out of the confusion. Whereas your disembodied souls are more malevolent in nature. They're not confined to one area. They will follow you home from the hotel. They will follow you to your next home, and they're actively looking for a body to possess. This is when you wake up with scratches. This is when things get pushed across the room. I say all of this not to frighten anyone, but so that you know what you're dealing with. So if this live is resonating with you, you've been in here, maybe you don't want to share, but drop a 333 in the comments to let me know you're enjoying, you're here for this, okay? I drank some of my cucumber from my cucumber water. Let's see, Sunny, you had a story. You said when I was a kid, like 6 or 7, it was nighttime. It had to be like 2 or so a.m. You woke up to turn over from sleeping on your back, and I was terrified of what I saw. Yeah, what did you see, Sunny? Let us know. You said my YouTube, I'm sure, is hacked also. When I go through my history and put in weird keywords, certain videos show up in the history. The Hierophant video pops up when I put Snapchat or Instagram. The Hierophant video. What do you mean by the Hierophant video? Are you speaking of like a tarot reading I've done, or what video are you referring to? I wouldn't be surprised if your YouTube is hacked. If you're tuning into content like mine, if you're into that type of content, they tend to monitoring spirits. It's spiritual warfare. It's not just 3D. It's not just the CIA and the FBI and the government. Yes, but it's those you don't see. Those who lurk in the darkness and pull all the strings. Those are the ones not to fear, because we are divinely guided and protected as chosen sovereign beings. Your benevolent ancestors would never let that happen to you. And if something does happen, you just know that that was your fate. You wrote that to happen in this. You fulfilled that mission. And you'll just come back again if you didn't. They cannot stop the chosen one. They cannot stop this great awakening that's taking place right now. They're trying everything in their power, telling you about all the viruses to be scared of, telling you to stay out of the sun. You can't drink the water. You can't eat the fruits. You shouldn't eat your vegetables. Everything's glued together and fake. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous right now how they're trying to fear monger you. And so I try to clarify when I talk about the things I talk about. Sometimes it's going to be scary, but we need to learn about it. And I'm not doing it to just leave you scared and in a low vibration. I'm giving it to you, and then I'm equipping you with the tools for you to be able to move forward from a place of power, to use your own intuition. Now, if you didn't know before this live, now you know the difference between a disembodied soul and a lost soul. You may even wish that lost soul on. If you tend to see one in a place you work, you might wish that soul on. Tell them goodbye. Let them know they're scaring you if they're doing something that's scaring you. If this is a benevolent soul, they're probably going to fall back. It's only the aggressive ones that don't listen. Okay, Sunny. Thank you for the 333, Salem and Sebastios. Happy to have you all here. Sunny, you said there was a pale old looking man that had a full beard and a receded hairline. That already sounds terrifying. Round face staring right back at you from your pillow. I did that jump back and couldn't even scream. The face melted back into the pillow. Whew. That right there, that's that adrenochrome. If you've seen, chosen ones, that movies are the truth hidden in plain sight. Monsters Inc. If you've seen that movie, drop it in the chat. Say Monsters Inc. If you know, you know. They were there siphoning the adrenochrome until they finally switched over to a more benevolent way, a more benign way of stealing, of taking energy. Either way, they were stealing it, but I'd rather them steal laughs than steal screams, right? And I have a very intense dream about it. I wouldn't say it's intense, but a very profound dream about the adrenochrome that I shared on my Patreon. So check out the description. If this is your type of tea and you want more uncensored content, because on the tube, I have to limit what I say. If I don't go live, I really don't get a lot of reach. If I do get reach, especially on my shorts, go check my most recent shorts. They often say it's easy when you have 50 positive comments to focus on the one negative, but I will literally reach 400 people on a short and get 4 to 5 negative comments and no positive ones. If that's not the sign of a monitoring spirit, they just read the title and then don't watch the video, and they're just in there trolling, whether or not those are real people, AI bots. sent out because of the keywords. I'm triggering keywords. When I say your galactic light codes are awakening, they're like, oh, we don't like that shit. Definitely don't awaken the light codes. So what do? They run and they defame my character. They say, you sound like my manic friend. Oh, I bet that LSD trip was really nice. um, all types of things. How come people who read cards, their life is always in shambles? Just go ahead and read. I delete some of them. Shout out to my moderator, Sunny, who shared that creepy, creepy story because he actually came to my aid in the shorts. I have to accept when you share things to the shorts, you reach a wider net of people and they try to gauge who you are in 60 seconds or less, which you cannot do, which is why I like long form content, videos, and lives because if you're here and I'm retaining your attention and we're exchanging, you're getting to know more of who I am. You're getting to see my soul. You're not just making a rash judgment about me based upon my physical 3D vessel or off of a 30-second clip where I'm talking about galactic light codes. But I do challenge these trolls, and I wonder if you're not into tarot and you're not into awakening your superpowers, then why, may I ask, are you even on the video in the first place? That seems like something I would just exit stage left and keep it pushing. But no, they want to leave a negative comment. Why? Because they want to deter me before I get to a place to where I get to a large enough audience that they're actually needing to remove my videos. Instead, it's just easier for now to defame my character and call me crazy. And I have a small channel, so you know it's going to get sticky icky as it grows. Yes, Rosalind, thank you for dropping it in there. Monsters Inc. If you know, you know. I would love to. So back to that tangent. On my Patreon, it's a monthly fee. It's $8 a month. You don't have to do it, just like you don't have to leave a donation. I put it there for those who feel inclined. Your energy exchange, your currency is also leaving a comment. It's sharing the live. It's saying something positive. It's all appreciated. But I specifically created the Patreon because I know as this channel grows and as I share more, I want to be able to have a safe space that, one, in case I ever lose this channel, I don't lose all of my loyal subscribers and my chosen community that I get to connect with. I don't want to lose all of that due to only having this platform. Also, there's keywords that trigger the algorithm, that shadow my reach. Whereas on Patreon, if you're there, I can go live, I can talk my ish, and I don't have to worry about how many people it's going to reach. Because those who paid the access fee, they want to be there and they're receiving all that good content. And I uploaded every day there for over 3 weeks. I just launched it like just under 4 weeks ago. So there's plenty of content over there, from tarot to lectures, videos that I like, videos from my own personal life, just all types of content there. If that resonates with you, check out in the description box my Patreon. I would love to have you over there. I even have a live chat where we can share our dreams. So I always say use your own intuition. If you have to know which dreams are for you and which ones are for the collective. But if you wake up one day and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, I want to share this. This was terrifying, or this seems prophetic," well, you can share it in the dream chat along with me and others as this channel grows, and we can compare notes because sometimes we are prophesizing. I'd also like to do a monthly Zoom. So instead of just going live here, I can hop on a Zoom and see all of your faces if you choose to turn your camera on, which I hope you would. And we can connect and really talk amongst each other without worrying about the algorithm. So once again, that's enough promo of myself. It isn't just for me to take your money. It's a place for us to connect and to know that this can keep growing if I ever lose this channel. Howdy, Melanated in Nature. Oh, you made it to the live. Let's go. I don't know if you've been here for a while, if you've been tuning in. I know you said that you had an experience under my community post. If you feel comfortable sharing it, we've had a few people sharing in the chat today, myself as well. So if you haven't been here, make sure you run this live back from beginning to end and check it out, because I'm getting ready now to shift over. Unless someone else still has another story to share, I'm getting ready to close this video out with some tarot. Little bit of tarot. But happy to see you here, Melanated in Nature. I actually checked out one of your poems. Beautiful. You have a gift, okay? Your gift of writing, your gift of speaking. Check out her channel. I greatly appreciate anyone who shares my content. It's completely free, but so few people do it. So when you do it, I notice. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm so grateful. So I'm going to grab my tarot cards. If you want to share your story in the chat, I'll give a couple minutes just for anyone to share their last stories. Sebastios and Sunny, thank you for sharing. Those were both terrifying stories, but it's nice to know I'm not alone in my experiences. And Sebastios, we're going to have to do another live, an interactive live like this, because like I said, I usually do tarot where I don't get to read the chat so much as it's going. I get to see it after. But this way we're being interactive. I would love to do one about trolls and monitoring spirits on social platforms. And then we can dive into what you were talking about when you type in certain things and weird things pop up for you. No such thing as coincidence. If you're aware of some of you followed me when I went live with Flair Brune, where she had people on via Zoom and it was on her live. That was back in March. Flair Brune, another great content creator. If you're into the esoteric wisdom and just thoughts that you don't hear every day, she has a beautiful, beautiful mind. And that is a great way. Many of her videos, when she goes live, they're taken down right after because she's been on YouTube so long. She has such a large following. Even her subscribers don't reflect how many people actually show up for her in those lives. It's crazy. And so her videos go down really quickly. So for example, I'm saying this to say, when I shared a short of her and I live, YouTube algorithm pushed it to maybe 10 people. And it'll tell you, we showed this, shown in feed 10 times, 10 people clicked on it. So if you showed it 10 times and 10 people clicked, that seems pretty good start. That means you should push it to more people. If you understand YouTube analytics, you will see when they are shadowing you. And certain topics, they just do not want you to talk about, okay? They just don't. I'm going to go ahead and grab my tarot. If you're still here in the chat, you're ready for the tarot, drop a 333. Thank you to everyone who's been liking, commenting. I greatly appreciate you all. Ooh, it is warm. Excessive heat warning where I'm at. Is it hot where anyone else is at? Because I just stood up and I'm surprised the pillow underneath my cheeks didn't come with me. I am so warm. All right, now we're going to light the candles for that root chakra that we addressed earlier, the sacral chakra, and our solar plexus. Allowing our intuition to guide us. The candles are benevolent ancestors, keeping us divinely guided and protected as we dive into the tarot. Now, if there's anything you're looking for clarity or guidance on, maybe there's a question on your mind, on your heart, you're looking for guidance. Doesn't matter what it's in, love, business, being a chosen one and dealing with not conforming to societal norms and feeling ostracized or feeling like unless you jump on YouTube or find videos that resonate with you, when you go out into the physical 3D world, you're reminded all the time that you're different. But it's your difference that makes you stand out. It's your superpower, okay? Thank you for the 333s. Appreciate you all. Once again, tarot is not to be feared unless you are not an enlightened being, okay? Is this window shut? It is, okay. That was weird. It sounded like someone hit my door right as I'm saying that. Tarot is very old, very ancient, spiritual practice. I am not calling upon demonic entities. I am not trying to channel a specific loved one in general. A lot of times I do have benevolent ancestors coming through, but I'm not channeling someone with their photo, with their name, none of that. Whatever comes through, comes through. If you feel inclined to leave a donation tonight. It doesn't matter what the denomination is. If it's $1, $5, if you want to leave a donation, it's in the pinned comment on the live chat as well as in the description. You can ask a question tonight here while I'm live. And if you're interested in a private reading, that's also in the description. I do those pre-recorded, get them recorded and uploaded to you in 72 hours, usually even less than that. Spirit, please show my beautiful chosen starseeds, sovereign beings, trailblazers, what it is that they need to see. What messages do you have for my beautiful collective? No jumpers tonight. Ooh, I like that. In reverse. Okay, in reverse. I'm going to read those right up and down. Wow. 6 cards, 3 major arcanas coming out the gate swinging. Okay. Goodness gracious. So first, you have the 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords. I believe this came out. No, it was the 8 of Wands. No, this did come out in the last live tarot. I described the 8 of Swords because it's often depicted in another tarot deck as a woman standing there, and she's surrounded by swords, and she's loosely blindfolded, and she has her hands and wrists very loosely tied. And so I always think of the 8 of Swords as you being a prisoner of your own mind, your own thoughts. This can be analysis paralysis. You may be a perfectionist. You may be an air sign, Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, or have a lot of those placements within your chart. But the 8 of Swords is about thinking. It's also about having that aerial view. You don't see things from a ground level, from a 3D level, or from below. You see everything from above. Okay, so your perspective is often different. Oftentimes, not always respected. As they say, the prophet is not usually respected in their own home. So this 8 of Swords, what I'm getting with this is many of you have been waiting to make a move. You've been harnessing your gifts. You've been harnessing your superpowers. You feel those galactic light codes awakening within. And does this mean you're going to shoot off the ground like a superhero? Maybe. But more likely, it's going to be you realizing your divine connection with everyone and everything. As I said in my short yesterday that got completely trolled, check it out if you haven't already. Leave a good comment over there. When your light codes are awakening, you're going to be seeing angel numbers everywhere. 333, 444, 1111. You may have always seen them, but now it's like sun up to sun down. Spirit is speaking to you, screaming at you even. You also, much like in the 4 Agreements, if you've never read that book, great read, but you're no longer being a victim of your circumstances. You realize how any experience, good or bad, you created it because you create your reality. Say it in the chat. I create my reality. So even when you have a negative experience, it's all contributing to your personal elevation and your spiritual growth. And that's what I get here with this 8 of Swords. You've been through some things, without a doubt. However, now is the time where you can easily make your escape. You can leave that job, and these readings are never meant to replace medical, legal advice, financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. But you're now feeling comfortable to make your exit, whether that be from a toxic relationship, your ace boon coon, your best friend from back in the day who's always been sneak dissing, but you have so much love for them, or their mom or their parent, their parents, their family, that you just keep letting them come around and mistreat you. You're no longer imprisoned by your own thoughts, okay? Whoever you are, who I'm speaking to, you're highly intellectual. Highly intellectual. With this 8 of Swords, it's simply going to be like a flick of the wrist or a quick, when you see that door open, you're going to be able to make this escape. And it's more, like I said, going to be a mental thing. You're going to realize how your thoughts, for many of you, I'm hearing you're stuck in a loop, a cycle of recreating the same experience. even in different places with different faces. So you may lose a relationship or a friendship, and the new one that comes in, you find yourself dealing with the same situation. And so at some point, that's when we have to realize that we're the common denominator in that situation. Yes, monitoring spirits are real. Yes, demonic entities can hop vessels to try to throw you off of your path. But at some point, you have to realize that you're opening the door to allow this person into your energy and into your field. And with this Eight of Swords, I see you doing that no longer. For some of you, the person that you're dealing with, their name may begin with a T or with an N. Their surname, their prénom, their first name, or their last name. Do anyone in the chat, tu parles français? Tu parles français tous les jours? Next, we have the 10 of Wands, completion. Some of you feel split down the middle. Half of you wants to go left, half of you wants to go right. But what I'm seeing from this is if you were to blaze your own trail, create your own avenue, your own lane, that's where you're going to stand out amongst the crowd. And so I'm getting very much leader with this. But with the 10, the X, some of you may be on X, on Twitter quite a bit. That may be your platform where you talk what your spiritual stuff and people see you there. That may be where your voice is most heard. That may be the platform in which you can manifest the most, because the wands is fire energy, Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, and the wands are all about the ability to manifest. But with the 10 of wands, this denotes the completion, the ending of something. So oftentimes when we ask God or we ask the universe to give us something, we have to be willing to give something up in return. So much like you clean out the closet in spring and create space for new clothes, what are you holding on to in your life, whether that be physical, spiritual, emotional, that is no longer serving you? Because once you do, well, baby, you got the 9 of Cups here. 333. Drop it in the chat. 9 of Cups is wish fulfillment. This is emotional fulfillment. This is someone, if we're talking romance, this is someone filling your cup, you fill theirs. Reciprocity, it's just ebb and flow. When they're up, you're up. When you balance each other out. But emotional fulfillment with the cups. This is being able to advocate for yourself from a place of strength, much like with the swords, having that sword as the tongue. But this is also you being, emotionally fulfilled. I absolutely love the 9 of Cups because whatever it is you're releasing and manifesting, it's coming to you. I'm getting the name Heather. I'm also hiccuping, so no such thing as coincidence. I'm also getting Robin Hood. Next, your last 3 cards here, we have 3 major arcana. Here are the lovers. I don't like to do romance because it can be a little toxic. I do it in private personal readings, but I don't tend to like to do love for the public because it's a lot of energy to take on. But you have the lovers here, so I can't deny you. With this card, I am getting Gemini energy. That may be that air sign that came out earlier. For some of you, this is nuptial. Some of you are getting ready to get married, or someone's getting ready to propose to you. This wish fulfillment can be you finding that divine partnership, whether that be in business or in love. Whatever this is going to be what you've been asking for, and it's going to be balanced. Now, what I'm getting is this person who's going to be coming in for this partnership, whether financial, business, or romantic, they may come with a bit of baggage. There may be, I don't want to say red flags, because always listen to your own intuition. Even over mine, your intuition will always speak the loudest to you. Follow it. But this person may have qualities about them that would, in your past lower versions of yourself, would be a turnoff. However, maybe due to the experiences you've had recently, you're actually going to be kind of pulled into this person's gravitational energy because they're everything that you haven't had in the past. So it's one of those things where you're like, hey, I've been doing it this way for the longest and it hasn't been working. So let me try something new. And from it, it's going to be this beautiful well-balanced partnership, and that wish fulfillment with the Nine of Cups. This may come in very fast, very hot. It is the Chariot here, other major arcana. This is Cancerian energy, the 6 and the 9, or Cancer, the crab. The Chariot, this is about whatever you set your sight on, you're going to be going through. No red lights, no stop signs, just straight to the finish line. So if it comes to a contract with this other person, do be sure to read the fine print. You see the horses, there's a black and a white one there, or a brown and a white one. And so that often gives me polarities. That can be the divine balance, the yin and the yang, the divine feminine, divine masculine. But it's also telling me to read the fine print, the ink that's on the white paper. Read it just to make sure. Have an attorney look it over, someone you trust before you sign. Because as this thing comes in, it's going to be your wish fulfillment. It's going to be like what you've dreamed of. But because things are happening so fast, you want to make sure you're just covering your own butt. And I say that because then next we have the Tower, more fire energy, Sagittarius here. You can see this burning building that's being struck by lightning. It's a very terrifying card when you look at it like that, much like the Death. But what I say about the Tower is it's nothing to fear, especially if you're here in the chat. You know you have free will. So what I'm saying doesn't have to come to be. You always have the choice of what you resonate with and what you want to leave for the rest of the collective. But also it's giving you a heads up to prepare, okay? So what I often think of when I see the Tower is that you're on a plane, and planes have weight limits. You can't take everything with you or it's going to crash. There's something you're holding on to right now that God, the universe, they want you to release it. They're giving you the time to release it. But if you don't do it, they will come in and remove this person for you. I don't mean violently or anything physical, but something is going to happen in your environment where this person is going to be exposed and they're going to no longer be in your life. So it would be much easier, instead of trying to grip sand as it's pouring through your fingertips, just to let it flow. If this is someone in your life who's been in your life for a long time and you just simply can't imagine your life without them, if it's sacrificing your peace, if it's hindering your elevation, well, then that's something you're going to really need to think about. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right. I'm going to pull a card from the Sacred Spirit reading cards. This is specifically for my chosen tribe. For those of you that have been experiencing elevation symptoms, for those of you on your awakening path, maybe you're new, or maybe this has been going on for quite some time, and you're just looking for a bit of guidance from your spiritual team, from your benevolent ancestors, we're going to get a message from your spirit guides. Please show my beautiful collective what it is that they need to see. No jumpers tonight. Let's go. I love this because I've meditated twice today. And if you don't meditate, I highly encourage you to do it. It doesn't always look like sitting cross-legged, saying Om. Sometimes it does. It can be chopping vegetables, washing quinoa or rice before you cook it. It can be driving on the road, listening to your favorite song. But I do encourage you to meditate. Take time to close your eyes in a safe environment and tune into your breath. Take your breath off of autopilot and really listen to what your body is going through on a daily basis. You owe that to yourself, especially my chosen starseeds who are going through this awakening. The more you can tune into your inner power, the better that's going to be for you, for everyone around you. It's going to increase your ability to manifest. And here we have number 27, which is 9 in gematria, meditation. The light is kind of giving a funky reflection. It says, improvements require persistence. Improvements require persistence. For those of you in the chat who have just been like, oh my goodness, I had a download yesterday and I said it out loud. I said, I am a blade of grass poking through the snow. If you know, you know. It's like the first blade of grass at spring, the first one to rise. Despite conditions, you are thriving. And so improvements requiring persistence, for many of you, it's your roots run deep. This has been a common theme in the messages. Your roots run so deep, and yet you haven't seen that sprout poke through the soil yet. Or maybe it has, but it's not yet producing fruit. And you're like, I cannot take much more of this. But you're being encouraged to keep going because improvements require persistence. If this reading is resonating, make sure to like the video. It's absolutely free to support the video by liking and sharing for this energy exchange. I appreciate all the good energy in the chat. Thank you all so much. Merci beaucoup. Now, next you have third eye vision. Reclaim your mind. And we were talking about the third eye, weren't we? And this card is number 36. Once again, in geometria, the 3 plus the 6 equals the 9. So you have the 9 wish fulfillment, the 9 meditation, and the 9 third eye vision. If this doesn't tell you you have the power to manifest, I don't know what does. And you can see this divine connection with the cosmos here. For some of you, it even looks like it's not just coming from their third eye, but it's coming from their throat. I've been picking up on this energy so much in the lives, but my beautiful chosen, many of you have voices that need to be heard, whether you're poets, you're writers, you're speakers, you're thought leaders, you're philosophers, or you're a singer. Use that gift. Improvements require persistence. But for many of you, you see this reclaim your mind. That's what it says. And that goes hand in hand with this 8 of Swords. Some of you have been in a prison of your own making. I often love the visual of the bird in the cage with the door wide open. Some of you have been, to no fault of your own, programmed and indoctrinated through those you love into becoming who you currently are. You've just began questioning everything, or maybe you have for some time, but you still allow those nearest and dearest to you to have a hold on your energy. And whether you realize it or not, subconsciously, it is affecting how you move through this 3D world. For some of you, you're shadowing your own gifts and dimming your own light to make people who really don't even care enough about you feel comfortable in your presence. And that's what we're not doing. Moving from 2024 and beyond, we're no longer dimming our light and hiding parts of ourselves to appease the masses. 11 people in the chat, 11 likes. And I have a neighbor screaming in the back. I might have to shut the window. It's a kid. Never be upset. Kids, they're still free. They're still free. They scream. They're upset. They're going to tell you. You look ugly that day, they'll let you know. Oh my goodness. But most importantly, they'll tell you that your energy is ugly. Kids, children, and animals, they can pick up on low vibrational entities so easily. Now we're going to dive into my favorite deck, Dust to Onyx. Beautiful melanated deck here. I always say it, it's hard to shuffle this deck, so we're just going to get it how we live, all right? Let's see. The Real Furious Pharaoh. What's up, Spirit World? Is that part of your name? Oh, yeah. What's up, Spirit World? Exactly. I love when people just come in on the high vibration and they're ready for it. They're ready for the tarot. They're not coming in saying, turn your life over to your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and judging you in the chat. And you're like, can you remove that person? Not because I don't believe. I just believe everyone should be free to have their own choices. And you never want to come on someone else's channel and tell them what to believe. Like if you're here and you're on my channel, like take in what resonates with you, leave the rest. But it's never necessary to be negative, right? Okay. Spirit. Okay. First jumper of the night. We went from talking about lost souls and disembodied souls to sharing paranormal experiences. Now we're into the tarot. I don't usually like to associate the paranormal and ghosts and negative with the tarot, but we're getting a nice mix tonight. I'm going to take 2 more. This is going to be the final cards before I close it out. So if you'd like to leave a donation to ask a question, it's in the pinned comment above. Never any pressure. Just only if the messages are resonating, you feel inclined to share. Maybe you don't even want to ask a question. Wow, first card out. This is what I love to see. You have the Wheel of Fortune, Major Arcana, and it is also the number 10 in this tarot deck. The Wheel of Fortune. This is what I've been picking up on. Wish fulfillment, chariot energy coming through, you freeing yourself from a mental prison. This Lover's card coming in. For some of you, that is your romantic equivalent. For others, it's going to be that business partner you've been waiting for, you've been longing for. But whatever this is, it's going to call in this abundance for you in the 3D, not just in the 3D, in spirit and in flesh. Okay. This Wheel of Fortune, I just had a very strong ringing in my left ear. That's never happened during a tarot reading before. Some of you, it may be a call. You may be receiving a phone call that's going to be bearing this good news. For others of you, your spirit guides are communicating with you so much through angel numbers right now. You see this Wheel of Fortune actually looks like a clock here. It also is giving the 4 elements that we tapped earlier on the singing bowl: earth, air, fire, and water, calling upon the elements, understanding and overstanding that you are divinely connected with Mother Earth, Mother Gaia. You are not existing separately from her, but in alignment with her. So with this Wheel of Fortune, this major arcana, the wheel is going to be turning in your favor. Things that weren't working before, you've made the improvements that required persistence, and now you're being rewarded with that partner, with that wish fulfillment, with physical, monetary abundance. Whatever it is you've been calling forth and calling in, it's coming for you. Good night, Salem. I'm getting ready to close it off too. So happy to have you here. Yes, please do save it. And to all my new subscribers, turn on your notifications so that you know every time I go live or release new content. I would love to have all this good energy here in the live on my public content as well, my videos, my shorts. Thank you, Salem. Good night. So you're calling in this abundance. And for some of you, it's going to be financial. For others, this may be, I'm even getting, for some, this is going to be a pregnancy. For some of you, this may be after dealing with years of infertility, whether you're a male or a female. This Wheel of Fortune is turning in your favor. Only you know what it is you've been calling upon, what you've been calling forth into your life. Just rest assured that you are manifesting it. But you have to free your mind and you have to be persistent. That's what the cards are saying. Next, you have the Four of Cups. What a perfect confirmation. The Four of Cups is balanced emotions, solid foundations. What I love about this too is oftentimes the Four of Cups is depicted much like this in the traditional tarot, where there's 3 cups floating or sitting right in front of him, but then there's one floating just out of sight. So for many of you, what this Four of Cups denotes is this persistence is going to require you to notice something that's been hiding right underneath your nose. It may just be take a turning or a pivoting of perspective, but something maybe from the past that you're going to restart, or you've just been focusing so much on these 3 cups and how they're not the 9 of cups that you want, that you're missing this one that's pouring. For many of you, I'm getting that is your 1,000-petaled lotus flower from your crown chakra that's now activated. It's the Christ consciousness within. You've allowed your Kundalini energy to rise up from the black goo at your sit bones, and you've allowed all of your chakras to be healed, to be opened, and for that energy to freely move up into enlightenment. And with this, you can almost see this as though they're sitting in meditation here. This enlightenment is going to pour and fill into all of these other cups. How beautiful is this? Wow. Next, you have Little Coin, which would be the Page of Pentacles in the traditional tarot. This is not immature energy, but I like to refer to it as curious energy, much like a child. Not yet a prince or a king or a knight, but they are very much so curious that they're willing to venture out on what some would consider an mission. This person believes they have 9 lives. This person is so willing to sacrifice themselves, and I don't mean physically, but they're willing to sacrifice maybe ridiculed or being mocked by the masses in order to bring this dream that they see in their mind's eye to fruition. There's something you're building right now. Maybe it's only been built in your mind's eye, but it's going to be so beautiful and it's going to garner this mass support. Many of you are divinely connected with the moon, specifically around the time of the new moon. That's when you can manifest the best. Even though this is the Pentacles, which is earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, with this little coin here, what I'm getting is watery energy, mastering your emotions. Next, then you have young staff, which would be the Knight of Wands in the traditional tarot deck. This is fast moving energy. This means whatever you're trying to manifest at this time, it's rapidly unfolding in your 3D. Be mindful of your tongue, be mindful of your thoughts, because thoughts become things. Your energy or your emotions are simply energy in motion. So no self-deprecating comments. If you say something you didn't mean, retract it and replace it with something positive. If you find yourself in a state of complaining or of dealing with a negative situation, instead of focusing on the problem, try to start coming up with solutions. That's what this younger Knight, fast moving energy is going to do. This is a solution oriented master manifester. And for our final card tonight, what a beautiful way to end the reading and our live chat today. Ace of Coins. This is the Ace of Pentacles. This is victory in finances, victory in health. This is everything in your 3D world finally reflecting to you all of the hard work you've been doing in spirit and in flesh. It's as though their third eye is most of their face. It could be a marble, but to me, it looks like a third eye. This is someone who is divinely connected with the earth, with the water, with the air, and with the wands. Some of you, there's a bell sitting right at their crown chakra. Some of you have ancient pharaohs, Egyptians as your ancestor, your lineage. Some of you may be very into Egyptology and the hidden books, the occult, everything that's hiding in the basement of the Vatican. That's right up your alley. Some of you, I'm even seeing you wear an ankh, or others of you, you may even wear a pharaoh on your neck, like Nefertiti, I'm seeing. I'm also seeing the bull here, which denotes Taurian energy. So this Ace of Pentacles, this Ace of Coins, I may have a lot of Tauruses who resonate with this energy. And no surprise there, because as earth signs, you're very much about your earthly financial stability. This was an absolutely beautiful reading. I'm glad that we were able to talk together today, to interact more live in the chat, where we went over lost souls, disembodied souls. We shared ghost stories. We shared about how our intuition saved our life. And then we ended with a bit of tarot. So happy to have you all here. Thank you so much. Please do, if you'd like a private reading, check out the description. If you like to see more exclusive esoteric wisdom such as this that I don't share here on YouTube, join the Patreon. It'll be in the pinned comment as well as in the description box. I hope to see you there. Until next time, I'm sending you all peace, love, and elevation in consciousness. I say.